Hey there, I'm Ryan Grimm, Washington Bureau Chief with the Huffington Post, reporting here for the Young Turks. I'm joined here by Bill Press, host of the Bill Press Show, which is part of the TYT network. Let's start now with the man who occupies, during the week, the building that's behind us, Donald Trump. A lot of progressives are already asking, can this guy make it a full term? What's your sense of his first month?
Disaster. I think it's two things. One, inside the White House, total disarray. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They're fighting among themselves. They're rushing to give the impression that they're getting a lot done, so they hold a lot of meetings, they make a lot of telephone calls, they sign a lot of worthless pieces of paper, but they don't know what the F they're doing. I was at his news conference last week where he ticked off, here's all the things we accomplished in this month. And you watch the State of the Union address. That was the dress rehearsal for the State of the Union. He's going to do that. Look, we've been so busy. We got so much done. If you really go through that list and kick the tires, he didn't do squat, really. Other than the new DHS guidelines on immigration, which they do have the legal authority to. And then I guess this transgender thing. But a lot of the stuff, he said, we're going to repeal Obamacare. They haven't repealed Obamacare. Repeal TPP. TPP was never in place. He calls these people and said, we're opening a new factory like the Dreamliner, Boeing. That was done under Barack Obama. It wasn't done under Donald Trump. So I think there's this illusion of activity.
A lot of people were basically fist in the air about the Dakota Access Pipeline. Alan Costa wants to know how you guys feel about what's happening at Standing Rock.
I'm disheartened, disillusioned, disappointed to see the camp at Standing Rock be taken down. I understand why they had to do it. This comes back to Donald Trump with the extreme right-wing agenda. I mean, the idea, again, that he would even take time to study things and consider them before taking action. The fact that one of his first actions would be to reverse both the Keystone,
Yeah.
sorry, and Dakota Access is just outrageous. I mean, again, it shows whatever he doesn't believe in anything. He'll take the extreme right-wing agenda, and that's where he's going. And on environmental issues, on LGBT issues, on social issues, across the board.
The first phase of winning everybody is when you win the Democratic Party. So the Democratic Party several years ago didn't have a position on pipelines like this. And so you had plenty of corporate Democrats on one side, and you had some Democrats who might put out a statement here on the other side. Now, when issues like this arise, the impulse of Democrats is to stand with the protesters, which gets you a long part of the way. Now Democrats would need to take power in order for that to matter.
Two quick things. Number one, this is where Bernie was so right and so ahead of the pack, right, and really, really drew the party, to the left, back to its roots, if you will. Number two, I think this speaks to the whole resistance movement. You don't always win. But I'm so excited by what we see popping up everywhere. People at these town halls, it's incredible. The people at the airports, the Women's March in Washington, which I took part in, the Not My President's Day, and there are more and more things planned. And I marched in the People's Park March in Berkeley against the war in Vietnam. And I haven't seen people turn out in the streets since then. There weren't marches in the streets against the war in Iraq, not of that scale. And I think this proves that we can change the direction of this country under this president. We stopped the war in Vietnam. We could stop Donald Trump's policies, not all of them, in their tracks if people keep as organized as they are. And it's happening all over the country. It's very exciting.
I also think the focus on pipelines shows an extraordinary amount of sophistication on the part of the movement and on the part of the resistance, because the goal of the oil companies over the last 50 years has been to build this infrastructure in a way that isn't controversial, is apolitical. It's just like building roads and bridges.
That's what they say.
But now it's political. Koch Industries has a refinery in Minnesota that imports about 80 million barrels a year of tar sands oil. That's $4 billion worth of oil. It has changed the face of Western Canada. When new permitting issues come up and new licensing issues come up, these are now going to be a lot more controversial.
This is their lifeblood for the Koch brothers. Absolutely.
So,
Nisa says Trump is partnered with the companies doing the pipeline. His money is in oil, not just motels and hotels.
Which gets to the very basic point of the conflicts of interest of Donald Trump. This man is in violation of the Constitution as we speak, and he has been from day one. Number one, because he got this fancy hotel I'll never step in to 2 blocks up the street, and these properties all around the world. And every time somebody walks into them and buys a Diet Coke, money goes into Donald Trump's pockets. That is a blatant conflict of interest. He's got these properties in foreign nations, countries. He's going to be dealing with their leaders. You notice on his ban of Muslim countries, you know, none of the ones where he has properties were on that list. It's just, it's outrageous. Somebody at some point, that's going to come back and bite him in the ass. And that's where some people are already talking about impeachment, because it's not that they're bringing impeachment to him. He has brought impeachment on himself by not divesting himself of his businesses.
I think it was a Reuters camera caught recently an exchange between an airline lobbyist and Donald Trump. After a meeting, he came up to him and said, "Oh, Mr. President, I just want to say I'm a member of your club." And the president said back, "Good, very good."
Right.
That's a $200,000 check that guy wrote to Donald Trump to ingratiate himself. Like, that is a bribe.
And
like,
the New York Times did a great job of taking a list of the membership of the mar-a-lago and just looking at the lobbyists, the CEOs, and all of these people now. They have access to the President of the United States that no other world leader has. Members of the Senate don't have. They hang around the club with him. They watch him make national security issues, right? They play
and we've always had a cash for access system, but this isn't a system anymore. It's not even a sophisticated system. It's just here's the money.
It was cash for access, but it was never cash in your pocket the way it is for Donald Trump.
Nick has a question about Russia. It's something obscure about a constitution. Okay, you were in the room for Donald Trump's amazing press conference last week. Could you tell us about that and maybe Russia as well?
I have to tell you, I was in the White House for it. I'm still trying to recover, to tell the truth. You know, his goal was that he didn't feel that Sean Spicer and others were doing a good enough job defending him and talking about all that they accomplished in the first month. So he said, damn it, get out of the way. I'm going to go out and do it myself, and I'm going to show people how great we are and how smooth everything is running. I think it was a colossal failure of that goal, and I think instead we saw a guy who is totally self-absorbed, total disregard for the truth, and totally unhinged. And all he can talk about is his massive electoral vote victory, which kind of doesn't exist. I think it was, people came away from that saying, what? You know, he's president of the United States? So it was pretty scary for me. And I mean, the reporters in the room were just shaking their head. And there was a second.
How did he do on the Russia question?
Oh, now we get to Russia. Yeah, let me tell you. They've done everything they can to deflect attention from the Russian connection. It's not going to go away. The FBI is investigating it. The Senate Intelligence Committee is investigating it. I hope seriously. The New York Times and the Washington Post, you bet that they're investigating it. And it's pretty clear that during the campaign, during the transition, and early in this administration, the Trump people were having frequent contacts with Russian officials, even Russian intelligence officials. I think it'll come out that they were very much colluding with them and trying to influence the outcome of the election. I think the result could be a determination that this was a fraudulent election, and then Katie barred the door. Right?
Ann Coulter said when he named Mike Pence as vice president, that was foolish. Now you're going to get yourself impeached. Like, put somebody in there who's crazy, like Ann Coulter, and then nobody's going to be calling for impeachment.
Who looked? I'm no big Mike Pence fan. I think in many ways because he's smarter and he's more organized. He is more of a threat than Donald Trump. But who looked presidential this week? Here's Mike Pence in Europe, NATO, you know, representing the United States. Here's Mike Pence at the Jewish cemetery.
Yeah, and if you go through his Twitter feed, he's meeting with leaders and relevant people all day long, as if he's doing the legwork of president, as Saturday Night Live kind of joked that he would, and he is.
I think he is. Yeah, he's
so
de facto almost president.